Excited. My name is John Robinson. Thank you, Dr. Herb, for that warm introduction. I'm really excited to talk about the subject today. We're going to be talking about putting our money to work. And we've been on this series now for a few weeks. And this is part 7B. Part 7B. And so there's a lot to talk about when it comes to money. And we just believe in keeping it very basic. We want to make it basic so that everyone can understand and can benefit from the information that we're presenting. We're talking about retirement savings strategies in a volatile market. And this is part B. We started talking about that last week, and now we're going to go into a little more information on retirement savings in a volatile market. Just in case, I'm going to make sure I'm in the first part of this, I'm going to kind of breeze through this information so we can get to the good stuff. And so the bottom line is when we think about retirement, everyone imagines vacations, cruises, not have to worry about working, not have to worry about getting up early. Get up early if you want to. You don't miss anyone in the beautiful Houston traffic or wherever you are. If you're in California, man, traffic is 24/7 in Los Angeles. But anyway, this is what we think about when we think about retiring, being not having to work for a living anymore, right? And then most people, when they think about retirement or retirement savings, we think about 401ks, 403bs, we think about pensions, and on and on. And in today's world, I did another presentation a couple of years ago where I talked about when the Social Security program started and how the retirement evolved, the whole thought process. And the bottom line is retirement savings, retirement programs, pensions, all these things are a part of a business. And business people have two responsibilities: increase the profits and decrease the expenses. And so sadly, a lot of us end up being expenses rather than profits to the business. So their goal as a business is to increase profits, decrease spending. So our job, we've got to begin to look out for ourselves. Yeah, many companies made us feel in the past that they're looking out for us. They got us. Don't worry. We'll take care of you. That's your job. Your job is to take care of you. And I read a book that says, "My people perish for the lack of knowledge." So you don't have to be an economist or a super mathematician, but there are some basic things that everyone needs to know about retirement savings, especially in a volatile market, right? So market volatility, what are we talking about? We're talking about what we've been dealing with these last 3 to 4 weeks. The market was moving right along, and then the market got disturbed. And now there's some crazy things that have been happening in the market. The Dow Jones was down. The Dow Jones is one of the most commonly known indexes or standards in the market, and or market exchanges. And then you have S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, and they were all down for about 3 or 4 weeks. As a matter of fact, just last week, they started to come back up. And if you notice, the Dow Jones was down 890.01. The S&P was down, well, when it came back up, it only came back up 360.70. It was down 890 or 1, and it came back up 360. The S&P 500 was down 157.64. It only came back up 32.96. Y'all see that? So to say it come back up, it doesn't mean that it came back to where it was. I mean, if you lose $100 and now you regain $20 or $30, you're still in the hole. You're still in trouble. NASDAQ was down 17,468. It came back 2720. What happened to the other 17,004 whatever? Where is it, right? And so because of all of that, during that period of time, the report said that the U.S. stock market the losses were $5 trillion in value in 3 weeks. That is a lot of money. $5 trillion in 3 weeks. And so, when this happens, people say, well, they try to comfort us by telling us, don't worry, it's going to come back. Listen, I had an associate, and I'll tell you about my own personal experience in a little bit, but I had one associate that had $1 million in a 401k in 2007, getting ready to retire in 2008, lost half of her money. She had to work for another 5 years to build it back up so that she could retire. So the question that most people must ask themselves is, if the market drop, if I lose half of my retirement savings, do I have another 5 years in me to work to build it back up? Now, if you're in your 30s, late 30s like me, I'm 39 and a half, been there for a long time, but don't worry about it. You may think you got some time, you can work and build it back up. It's okay. When you started hitting the late 50s, early 60s, mid 60s, you got to really consider. And a lot of people are working longer today, and that's okay. But you may want to work longer. Personally, I believe I'm going to work till I die. I'm going to be like Henry Kissinger. His last gig, Henry Kissinger died, I believe it was last year in December. He was 100 years old. His last job was in March of that year. Well, they say he was on a diplomatic trip to China. Now, you think he does diplomatic trips, or he used to do diplomatic trips for free? How many of y'all think he did that for free? Henry was working. So I feel like him, I'm going to work till I die. And you may feel the same way, but you may not be able to. You may want to, but you may not be able to. So this is why we have to protect what we've got, and we have to take care of our retirement savings. So this little chart here helps people to understand what's happening with the market, right? We got to understand that there is a fix. When you go to save money or grow money, you've got to think about what environment am I going to do this in. So if you're going to save money in the bank, you're saving money in a fixed environment. Whatever the banks say that they'll give you as far as interest is concerned, that's what it will be. 1%, 2%, up to a couple years ago, it was 0 point nothing percent. I don't care how big the numbers are that they put after that 0 point whatever is 0 point nothing percent. Today, you can get some 2 or 3, I've even heard of some 4% savings account, but that does not stay that way. That's as long as the bank tell you that's what it's going to be. And then you have the variable market, right? The variable market is the marketplace or the stock market, and the red line is your money. And when your money is growing in a variable environment, if the market is up, your money makes money. If the market drops, you lose money, right? So it's up and down And and then there's an index market. It's like kind of parallels the stock market, but the thing about the index world is they say zero is your floor. So you put your money with us. When the market is up, you're going to make great interest. But when the market drop, we're not going to let you lose money. We're going to sustain you. So that red line stays when when the market drops. And then when the market is coming back up, okay, let's make money again. But when the market drops again, your money stays. And so the closer we get to retirement is the more we want to ensure that our money is going to be there for us. Now, uh, when you think about different financial retirement savings instruments, I just want to point out a few here. You know, people use different things to save for retirement. You got your IRAs, you got your 401ks, 403bs, you have your different pension plans, you got your variable annuities, fixed annuities, saving bond. Some people just save in their checking account, savings account, and that's all right. But there are many instruments out there, and a lot of these instruments are in these different markets, right? And just kind of want to narrow down on these two columns here. You know, your money can be in some of these in different instruments, but these instruments are going to be either in the fixed, the variable, or the index market. So you got to keep that in mind. This chart is so important. I talked to many people about this, and they've never heard this before. And I didn't know about this till about 7 years ago. I went looking for answers for myself and my family. So the thing is this, when you have a 401k, right, you got to start to think, it cannot just be, well, they're taking out 3%, 6%, well, about $200. No, 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 no. You've got to go beyond that. Okay, what are they doing with the money? And many of these companies have different investment strategies for you to select, right? Some strategies are aggressive, some are moderately aggressive, some are balanced, some are conservative. Depends on the company you're with, depends on the financial instrument they're using. But we've got to start to get accustomed to some of these terms. It's not as complicated as people try to make it be sometimes. Now, the market goes up and down, and I know this chart looked rather busy, but these are just different indexes, right? You got your S&P 500 growth rate and S&P 500 point to point, all that kind of stuff. The point here is this: the market goes up, the market goes down. And sometimes the market is down 2 years in a row. Sometimes the market is up 2 or 3 years in a row. Right now, and let me just go back to, now this chart only goes from 2015 to 2024. But if I'd gotten one for 20 years, which I'm probably going to do, I need to get one for 20 years. You will see in 2007, 2008, 2009, the market was down about 2 or 3 years. We lost about $16 trillion in that 2.5 year span. That's a lot of money. And so right now, we lost 5 trillion in 3 weeks. So this year could very well be a down year. So I got a few suggestions for you, how you grow your money. How do you grow your retirement savings in a volatile market? Let me see here. Now, I want to show you a couple of things. You've got to decide if you are conservative, if you're moderate, or if you're aggressive about your money. All right? If you're conservative, you want your money on lockdown. You don't want anybody playing with your money, right? You know, if you're moderate, you don't mind taking a little bit of risk. But if you're aggressive, let it, you're aggressive. And I use that picture of the casino because it is a gamble. The more aggressive you are with your retirement savings, the more you put it in the market, is the more you could lose. So people love to talk about investment, and I do too, but most people don't understand that investment is spelled RISK. It's spelled risk. So if you're not ready to risk, then you really want to rethink about investment. I believe that you save for retirement, but you invest to have a chance at a better life. You want to save for retirement. Why? Because if you keep living, retirement is coming, period. But you want to invest also for a chance at a better life because you never know. You could hit 2 or 3 good years and things could go well, and that's all right. But you save for retirement because if your investments fail, you may still need to retire. And that's when you need to have your savings. So you got to decide if you're conservative, if you're moderate, if you're aggressive, but you also have to decide what environment you want to put your money in. If you want to put your money in a fixed environment or variable index. So let's talk about the retirement savings that most people are accustomed to talk about. They talk about 401ks, 403bs, that kind of stuff. Right now, with the market, the way the market is down, it would not be a bad idea to be very conservative this year. The good thing about it is you have a say in what's going to happen with your money. It's not like, okay, they take it out my check, it's in my 401k. I mean, they take it, I don't see it. You need to go see it. If you don't understand how to log in, call the company. If you don't know who the company is, it's okay. Call HR and you ask HR, who is our 401k with? And then I need a number. Call the company and say, well, they'll ask you to identify yourself. You give your social security number and they'll talk to you about your account. And then you can ask them, how is my money being invested? Because I'm a very conservative person at this time, and I don't want my money to be at risk. I know this is real because of this. Back in 2007, I was working on a project out of the country, and my wife would be calling me and she would say, John, everyone is making all this money in the 401k. What are we going to do without money? What are we going to do? Well, I was already working till about 11 o'clock at night. We would start at 7, 8 in the morning. We'll go to 11 at night. We were working on a $100 million project. I was working on putting this together and get the funding. I didn't have time. So I took a day and I looked at it and it was all confusing to me. But when I looked at it, I saw a section that said secured funds. And I thought, well, I better put my money there because I don't have time to study all this. So I decided to move all the funds into the secured fund section. That was very conservative, very conservative. Well, we weren't making all the money everyone else was making. But if you think about your 401k, if you're putting in $100 or $200 and your company's putting in $100, $200, you're up 100%. What's the problem? You're already up 100%, right? And I believe that was good enough for us. I cannot dedicate the brain time to this. Well, you know what happened at the end of 2007? From 2006 to 2007, we were the only ones that were not making all this money in our 401k. Everyone else was happy, laughing, having a good time. Well, in November 2007, when the market started to drop, guess who was the only ones were not losing money in the 401k? We were the only ones, right? And so that taught me a lesson. It taught me the fact that, number one, we do have control over our retirement savings. We may not know about it, but you do have control. If you don't know how to do it, the companies that have your money have people that can help you to do what you want to do. So I left that project, and now this is 2014. I'm working with another company as a manager. They have the 401ks, and they're contributing, I'm contributing, and I have all my money conservative. So I go check my money, and guess what? I lost money. They moved around my money and they put it into different moderate and aggressive investment. I called the company up. I said, "Who moved my money?" So, well, Mr. Robinson, your money wasn't distributed properly. I said, "Listen, sir, my money was where I wanted it to be. You moved my money and you caused me to lose money. Put my money back where it was and put back what you lost, because I did not authorize that." And you know what they did? They put my money back and put back what I lost. Why? Because I am very conservative. Now, you can be moderate, you can be aggressive, and if that's your choice, it's okay. But we just want to make sure that you have a choice, that you know enough to have a choice. Now, if you are 60 years of age or older, then you don't even need to fool with that anymore, because you can move your money into an index market and take advantage of the upswings and not worry about the downfall. But listen, where did the time go to? I just want to let you guys know that the index market has a lot of great tools in it, like participation rates and all the things that. So it's not like if you put your money in the index market, it's not going to make as much money as the other market. It's going to make good money without the risk of loss. So I've enjoyed sharing this with you. Man, time just goes away when you're having fun. You know, OIC 10K is dedicated to bringing this information to our community so that we can be educated and make better decisions for ourselves. And that's our way of working towards eliminating poverty in our community in one generation. Back to you, Dr. Hurd.
Thank you, BD John. Thank you for the information. And